inches lighter. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Take. Today we are in a 1990 Nissan Pulsar. Not something you see a lot of in the States. We have the owner, Max, with us today. Max, you want to tell us a little bit about this really rare vehicle?
Yeah, so it's got the SR20 DET engine. If you don't know about that, it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo paired with a 5-speed manual and the Atessa all-wheel drive system, similar to what was in the GTIRs for the time. It is the umbrella model. It doesn't have the umbrella, but...
What does the umbrella model mean?
So if you open up the door, there's a pop-out spot that has an umbrella.
Oh, I see. That's what this is right here.
Yeah.
Of course, it's missing. So that was the only differentiating factor between these. Wow, that's kind of cool. Well, let's go ahead and take this thing out for a rip and see how she does. Oh. All right. It's actually not that bad. Okay, my initial impressions, this thing's actually really easy to drive.
Yeah, it's not bad. I actually learned how to drive stick on one of these, so...
Yeah, that's hilarious. You learn how to drive stick on a right-hand drive car in the States. I'm assuming it is up to temp.
What's that?
I'm assuming it's up to temp for the most part.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, and it's in kilometers per hour, so I need to remember my conversion. I think we're probably going about 90 on this road.
100 kilometers is roughly like 60, so...
Yeah, right. We'll try 5th. So it's pretty firm over this bad patch of road here. Nothing too terrible. I mean, it is, 1990. Did these start in the 80s?
Started 1990 to 1994.
Okay,
well,
so it's
for the GTIR model anyways.
So the car itself is derived from the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, it has that very Japanese car sound and like the gas pedal feel and everything. Oh, this car wants you to go fast. Nice turbo noise. Those brakes are really stiff. The pedal's very stiff. That is an okay initial bite, but not quite as good as most. Do you know if this has aftermarket pads?
If it has what?
Aftermarket brake pads?
I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, you said it does have an aftermarket clutch though, right?
Yeah.
And how much power do these make?
Roughly 240.
Okay, that's a pretty potent number. I mean, this is a very small car.
Yeah, for the weight.
That's a load of fun. Need to get more over. This kind of reminds me of the Eagle Talon TSI I drove. The sound is the same and everything.
I've never been in one of those. Those are pretty cool though. Isn't that like basically a prehistoric Evo?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that is kind of what they feel like. Well, I haven't driven an Evo, so I can't really say. But like, think Fast and Furious, like the sounds, and like it sounds exactly like the movie. It's actually incredible how well they did it.
Yeah, those things sound amazing.
I keep finding myself kind of drifting over this way. You gotta kind of, the throttle blip is a little touchy. Got good brake once you get into it. It helps this car's really small.
Yeah, true.
So when you're on some back roads like this, you kind of fit in really nicely.
Yeah, and with the all-wheel drive, it just moves the roads.
Yeah. The steering, surprisingly, has a fair amount of dead on center. It's a very 90s car thing. What were these in Japan?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, so this is the performance model, obviously.
Yeah.
What is there like a base model of this? Like, is this an Econo box? Like, what is this? It's like the GTR, right? I mean, it's just a Skyline.
Yeah, they do have a Pulsar too, which doesn't come with like the fancy hood or the turbo or anything like that. But to be honest, I really don't know like much about those.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I do, yeah, I'm starting to kind of learn a lot more about a lot of the JDM grades. And what's kind of funny is a lot of people, I don't want to say they overhype them, but like, they speak really highly of them, but they're just kind of regular cars.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about these too. It's kind of like a hidden gem. Not a lot of people know about them.
No, when we met, some people grabbed me and they were like, yo, you gotta look at this guy's Pulsar. And I legitimately thought they said Polestar.
Yeah. Like
the new Volvo. I was like, oh, cool. And then I see this thing and I'm like, oh, Pulsar. Ooh, those brakes are really good.
Yeah.
This thing we haven't really like rung it out all the way to the red line yet, but this thing must make all of its power up top.
It really does, yeah.
240 horsepower is slightly misleading. Once we rev it out, we'll see. I might completely change my tone on that. I probably will. Oh, I got a little bit
A little backfire?
Yeah, a little backfire.
Never heard that yet.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. Oh, grab 5. There we go. You know, for first time driving, right-hand drive, I don't think I'm doing that bad. Or right-hand drive stick. Yeah, the shifter, the driver's controls, they're all very intuitive. The turn signal being on the right side.
That's what throws me off the most.
Yeah, it messed me up at the beginning. Cause I was like, well, I was hitting this up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, right. So I'd push this down.
Yeah, it's the opposite of my Fiesta, so every time I swap cars, I'm just...
Yeah, you're just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Yeah, no, absolutely, I feel that. This thing is like the perfect size for these roads. So we don't know an exact weight figure, right?
No, I don't.
I would guess based on feel, kind of just based on what I know about cars and feel, I would say probably just under 3,000 pounds.
That'd be my guess, yeah.
Handling wise, got another little backfire there.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Handling wise, it feels lighter than that, but knowing that it has all-wheel drive, I think kind of gives it away, and based on the speed. But this thing's cool. How many pounds of boost do these build?
I'm not really sure. There's a boost gauge right here.
Oh, also Nissan says 7-ish, maybe.
Yeah.
I also love that hood. It's like big and bulgy in the middle.
I know, that's one of my favorite parts about the car.
The styling, yeah. No, it's a cool little touch. All right, we're gonna try our first 3-2. Feels really good when you get up to red line.
Yeah, that does.
I'll reiterate again, it sounds very similar to the 4G and the Mitsubishi Eagle Talon. I said they're the same car.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mitsubishi, it's said again, Eagle Talon TSI. Sounds very similar to that. It's very cool 90s JDM feel. fair. This car's very rewarding to drive quickly.
Oh, yeah. Those pops.
Yeah. Be a little nice to it on the exit of the turn. This thing's tight. It's tight, engine's really responsive. I mean, this thing loves to rev.
Yeah, like you said, it does really good like the higher RPM range.
Yeah, the 240 horsepower, if you're only keeping it in the mid-range, that number is very deceiving. Because you got to get it out over 6,000 RPM. And if you're not quick on the shifting, like I'm not being, yeah, you feel the boost lag. But it's cool. I mean, it's 1990. That's part of the experience.
True.
That's a 90s JDM sports car. I mean, frankly, if you want to go super fast, you don't buy something like this.
True.
You buy this for the experience.
I mean, for its time, it was pretty quick. It could be like a lot of supercars from that era, so.
Yeah. Exactly. Hello.
I think 0 to 60 is like mid 5s.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You have a lot of turbo noise in this car. Like a lot of turbo noise. That's cool though.
Yeah, I love it.
This has an intake on it, right?
Yeah.
That's probably what that is, honestly. That would be my expert, not expert estimation.
I think it could be even a little louder. Yeah, like a blow off valve or something.
Now, I think the sound it is now is a really good, like, middle ground for this car. It's loud, but in like a very visceral way. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like, it's loud, but it's not mind-numbing, and it kind of adds to the experience of the mechanicalness of this car. The shifter it's not super notchy, but like comparing this to, is this a stock shifter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, compare this to like BMWs, Volkswagens from this era. It's much more direct than that. Not quite as direct as like a Miata per se, but it's got that feel to it. Is the all-wheel drive biased to front or rear, or is it 50-50?
I think it's 50-50.
Were there non-all-wheel drive models?
Not for the GTIR, no.
For any of them?
I think the Pulsar might have been front wheel drive, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Right. The shifter's got a good feedback. It is a little vague going from 2 to 3, so I've kind of been taking it slower because I don't want to money shift.
In my last one, I definitely did that a couple of times.
Yeah. Now, money shifting is always the worst feeling in the world.
It is, especially like second to first. Like, oh my gosh.
This car is a very high limit. Rev limit, but like as far as like handling limit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I can't make the pass because I can't see on the other side, and I'm not gonna go without seeing. Yeah.
Especially if you're at like a stoplight and you're turning left, and then there's a person like across the intersection also turning left.
Yeah.
You can't see around them.
Like, good luck.
Yeah.
No, for the longest time, I always said that I preferred left-hand drive cars, and honestly, I think now this experience has been really valuable for me. I'm now indifferent to it. This doesn't take away from the experience at all on US roads. Yeah, not even close to the limit there. This would be, funny enough, this would be a lot of fun on the track.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what it was made for, so.
Yeah, he said a lot of donor cars. I mean, this was mass produced in Japan, right? I mean, they make a lot of them.
There's 14,000 made between 1990 and 1995.
That's actually a lot less than I would have thought.
Yeah. It was actually like a rally homologation car, so.
So, oh, all right. So they wouldn't have made a lot then.
Yeah.
All right, missed fifth there. Nope. Almost. We almost went the whole drive without doing that. Let me try to grab fifth again. Uh-oh. Your clutch is lighter. I don't want to try and... Nice.
Oh, it's like really light.
I mean, it's coming up, but like it's not... Can I do a second gear start in this?
Sure.
Oh, actually. Okay, your clutch is not working. Alright. I want to get out of the road. So, your clutch is not fully disengaging right now.
Okay.
So, you have AAA?
What's that mean?
Like AAA towing.
Oh, I did not know who they are.
Oh, that's... Okay, so that's a no. Well, everybody, our hot take has been cut slightly short. The clutch lost a lot of its pressure. So we're currently waiting on AAA. I've been waiting for a little while. But since we're here, we're going to go ahead and give you my hot take. My hot take is that it's awesome. For the money that you can buy one of these cars for, I think it's a great value for a classic JDM car. Obviously, a lot of these 90s JDM cars are kind of like, they're too expensive now to be worth it from a performance standpoint. But if you want that really like old school JDM feel with the turbo lag, the cool 4-cylinder sound, you want something right-hand drive imported, you were saying earlier, you can get these things for like 15 to 20 grand in good shape.
Yeah.
I think that's not a bargain, but compared to a lot of the other JDM cars, I think this is really slept on. I didn't know this existed, honestly, until these. I didn't know this existed and this trim the way it is. 2040 horsepower is a pretty good number, and I bet it makes that all the way up at like 6,000-7,000 RPM. This thing just wants you to rev it out. I'm guessing the rev limiter is at 8. We didn't really test it, but yeah, overall solid car, a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Thank you, Max, for coming out of the channel. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this car? This is your second one.
Yeah, this is my second one. Everything's great on it except for the safety notes. Yeah, it's for sale if anybody wants to buy it once it's fixed.
Yeah.
So hit me up.
Yeah, it's for sale. We'll when the for sale ad eventually goes up, we'll link it in the description. It'll be fixed and proper. But with that, let's go ahead and give it a score. Utility. The Nissan Pulsar has a pretty noticeable amount of wind noise and rougher ride. It was not unbearable for a weekend car, but not good as a daily. It has okay room for the front occupants. I didn't sit in the back, but the seats look pretty average for a car like this. It gets a 3 out of 10. Features. You get an oil temp and pressure gauge, the average 90s car amenities, and an all-wheel drive system shared from the fabled Skyline GTR. Materials are your average 90s JDM cloth and plastic, nice enough, but more on the utilitarian side. It gets 3.5 out of 10. MPG. This one is hard since it is an import with no US rating. Japan says they use 8.5 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers, which roughly estimates to a 2720 average. It gets a 7.5 out of 10. Cool factor. The Pulsar GTIR is pretty uncommon. They only made 14,000 for the world, and none of them came to the United States. With the legendary SR20 engine, pair that with it being a homologation Group A rally car, and you have an enthusiast car that is not only desirable but very unique. It gets a 7 out of 10. Driver's feedback. The Pulsar GTIR is very communicative with the driver. Direct steering, great mechanical pedal feel, and the suspension is tight. I do think it's almost as good as an Integra Type R, but it's not quite to that level, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Acceleration. The Pulsar GTIR is peppy, but it doesn't have a torquey top end. Sources vary, but the low 5-second range seems to be the generally accepted 0 to 60, or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. Should you buy it? The Nissan Pulsar GTIR is a unique car for sure. These range in the $10,000 to $20,000 range, which is a bargain for a 90s JDM sports car with a racing pedigree. You get a Nissan with a GT and R badge in the back without having to sell your house. Maintenance is easy as well. Most of these parts can be found in USDM equivalents like the B15 Nissan Sentra. For reference, the one in this video wound up needing a clutch, and the total bill is under $1,000 with shop labor. Much better than 90s Euro cars I know all too well, unfortunately. I'm going to give it a 12 out of 15, putting it here on our list. We have a new Hot Take King. I wasn't quite sure what to expect when going into this car, but I think it exceeded all expectations. It has everything you want out of your JDM weekend toy, but without the heavy price tag. If you're looking for an S chassis, an R32, an Evo, an old Subaru, or other JDM greats, I strongly recommend you consider a Nissan Pulsar GTIR instead. Hi, cool.
Africa.
You cannot be vaccinated this disease.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Get your streaks out the way.